What's up everyone, welcome back to Saint Seiya Awakening. Today we'll be reviewing the second half of this week's banner, which consisted of Golden Yoga and Nebula SHUN. Now, I haven't gotten him here on Global yet, obviously, because I'm not summoning, although I did like 50 summons today and I got a Pope. I'm not summoning too much for him, so we're gonna jump on the SCA version to review him in detail and try to showcase him as well. Now, SHUN is a Cosmo attacker with some incredibly high damage potential, but unfortunately some really complicated mechanics as well. So we're gonna look at him, his skills, his uses, his team composition, and then you can decide whether he could fit your team, if he would be useful or not. Now, I don't recommend summoning specifically for him this week because he will go into the normal summon pool, so there's a chance that you can pull him later. The one that doesn't go into the summoning pool is the Golden Yoga, so if you liked him from the other review, maybe you can summon for him, but this guy, you will likely pull him later. No worries. Oh, before we jump over to SCA, do make sure to check the end of the video today because I have some details regarding the channel and upcoming things, and specifically things that's going to be going on next week, okay? So don't miss it out. Let's go. Alright, so as I mentioned, Nebula SHUN is a Cosmo attacker. His first skill is a simple single target attack with 100% multiplier. His second one though is like something right out of the Bible. Look, this thing never ends. It keeps going and going. But I'm gonna try to sum it up in a way that's easier to understand because it actually took me quite a while to really grasp and a lot of playing around with him to really understand how it works. What the second skill does is that it places a debuff on an enemy called a gentle airstream, or as it shall be known from now on, a fart, because that's way too long. So you put a fart on the enemy and every time you use this skill, that fart count can go up. It starts at 1 and it can stack all the way up to 6. Now, the interesting part of the mechanic is that anytime that we deal damage to enemies on the battlefield, there's a chance that those stacks of the airstream go up automatically. On the first level of the skill, we have to deal 15% of the target's HP, but on the max level, we only have to deal 1%. So basically, any attack, anything that we do, can trigger additional airstreams. Note that this does not include summoned units like Seiya's Serpent or Isaac's Tentacle. It has to be actual unit, enemy units, main units. If we deal the required damage to 2 units, then we can get 2 more stacks, and if we manage to deal the required damage to 3 or more, then the additional stacks are guaranteed. There's no longer a probability that they'll be generated, they're gonna generate for sure. Keep this in mind when we get to the team compositions because it's what makes it interesting and the way that you can get a lot more stacks more quickly. The third skill is his big nuke, which costs 2 energy, and this thing deals 180% Cosmo damage to 1 unit and an additional 160% for every stack of the farts. That thing can stack up to 6 times, so that's a total of 7 attacks. When max level, the initial attack is 200% and every subsequent attack is 200% as well, so that's a 1400% multiplier. That is enough damage to kill basically anything in the game. The thing is, you have to get to those stacks first, but the damage potential is enormous. And the fourth skill is one of the strangest in the game. It actually works against SHUN because he is so kind, then he feels bad for the enemy, and after every time that he uses the Nebula Storm, 2 of the farts are deducted. Fortunately, the chances of this happening can be brought pretty much to 0 if you level up the skill. On max level, you only deduct 1 airstream and there's only a 10% chance that it happens. Speaking of skill ups, this is the skill that you're gonna want to work on first, because once you have the airstream stacked on the enemies, if you don't deduct them, you're gonna pretty much be able to nuke turn after turn. The second one is also a very good option, and I actually threw a skill up here before I really knew how he worked. I threw one in here because the sound of having to deal only 1% max HP is really appealing. If you skill this one up first, then you're gonna get more streams more quickly. If you skill the other one first, then you're not gonna lose streams when you do your attack. It's a choice you're gonna have to make. I think both of them work really well, and though the damage increase on the third skill looks really nice, you don't really need that much damage. If you already have 6 streams or something, you're pretty much guaranteed to kill it. Moving on to his Cosmo, he's really not a very complicated character to Cosmo up. The things we're looking for on him are Cosmo Attack, Cosmo Damage, so anything that increases his total output, HP, so he survives because he is a long fight type of character, and some speed and resistance if you can find those. Those would be the last stats to look for. If you can find them, great. If not, then don't worry about it. Remember, this guy is going to be there for the long run. He's not a character that's going to go in and kill in turn 1 or turn 2. Under Solar, we can increase his attack with the classic like Cosmo Stone, Eagle Eye, or the new Rosary, which is the best Cosmo attacker Cosmo right now. Now, unless SHUN is going to be your main damage dealer, you are going to want to use your best rosaries on your main attackers, and then just use mediocre or whatever's kind of left over. Use them on him if you want to play around. If you are going to use him as your nuke though, and that's totally an option if you want, then put your best rosary on him and the damage will be outrageous. Under Lunar, I think the best option is to increase his HP as much as possible. We're gonna be in a long battle, so we need to make sure that he survives. Tenacity and Bloom are still the best options for that. Knowing is a good third option once it becomes available. It does give him an HP boost, but it gives him a big resistant boost, so it's more likely that he'll get his attack off when he moves. Under Star, just like with Rosary, Hummingbird is the best option. If you have really strong Cosmo attackers like Aoe, put your best ones on them and put whatever's left over on Shun. If you feel that you need to move first, although again he's here for the long run, then you can use New Moon, but really just maximize his damage. Heal Book even is a good option. Cosmo Attack, it improves his survivability a little bit, and the healing is wasted, but I don't think it should matter too much. Under Legendary, the options get actually a little bit more complicated because typically on attackers we use stuff like Vulcan Chain, or for the physical attackers there's a whole bunch of categories of Legendary that we use for them. But Vulcan Chain I don't think really fits this Shun because he's going to be there in a long battle. There's a pretty good likelihood that when you are finally ready to attack with him, the enemy units will have already lost a little bit of HP, so this Cosmo is dependent on attacking fast, attacking first. I don't think it fits him that well. The same thing with King Giant. You're gonna have to watch where the enemy is with his HP. I would much rather put something on him that benefits him throughout the whole fight. Could be something that helps him survive, like Soapberry and Hephaestus. Soapberry recovers HP when he's low, Hephaestus gives us a shield when a physical attacker crits us. Another option is to go with something that benefits the whole team, like Iris, which also gives Shun a pretty decent speed boost, making sure that you can get those air nebulas, airstreams, that you can get them off quicker. In substats, you're going to be looking for the same things we mentioned for Cosmo, how to maximize his damage, so Cosmo Attack and Cosmo Damage, also how to keep him alive, finding some HP substats, some defense won't hurt either, and some resistance, that way you can make sure that he moves. Okay, so how the heck do we use this guy in battle? Because he requires some time for his stacks to really add up so he can do the max damage, he works really well with long battle teams. So think control, think stunts, think freezing. He also works amazingly well with AoE attackers, strong AoE attackers, because once you have the airstreams on several different characters, with one strong AoE attack, you could generate a whole bunch of additional airstreams. He also works well with Luna because you can give him 2 turns and generate more airstreams at the beginning of the battle. Data Loss is a good option as well. For those long battles, he can keep stealing Cosmo Attack over and over again, giving your Shun max stacks and absolutely destroying anything when you're finally ready to release your attack. And lastly, some distraction. Bring something else, another threat that the enemy has to focus on. That way your Shun is kind of left alone to his own devices. He's free to use his silent but deadly farts on the enemy, and when they least expect it, they're dead. Among his weaknesses are the fact, for example, that he does take a long time for his airstreams to stack up, but once they do a lot of damage, but you're gonna be in a long fight. This is not gonna be a fast clear type of character. Also that he can destack himself. One of the few abilities in the game that actually work against the character, he can remove his own stacks, which is completely ridiculous. He also requires a massive amount of skill ups to get these things to their maximum effectiveness. If you could level this one up to max and the 4th one to max, he could be really, really dangerous, but just think about the number of naked Shuns you need to do that. And that's about it really. He is, I think, mostly a PvP character. The one curiosity that I have, but because nobody has him built, I don't know, nobody's been able to answer my question, is if, for example, his stacks work on Legion boss, or on other bosses that have really long battles when we can get a lot of stacks and get maybe some crazy damage going. But I simply don't know. If somebody tested, please send me an email and let me know if it works or not. Now we're gonna go to the trial area of the Sacred Duel to test him out, to see exactly how his mechanics, I think they'll be a little bit more easy to understand when we can do it slowly there and kind of look at turn by turn. I don't have mine built and I didn't find one built, so I can't demo him in arena, so the trial section is gonna have to do. Alright, so the plan here is actually fairly straightforward. We are going to give him turns so he can get airstreams off. We're going to try to increase those airstreams with some AoE attacks, and then we're going to use Seiya's weekend stacked up to 4 times to see the maximum damage that he can do. I'm also bringing Nachi to give him a buff when we're finally able to release the Nebula. We're going to try to get the most that we can using Nachi's little buff. Let's see if it works. Alright, so in this first few rounds, I'm not really going to do much. I'm not even going to buff anyone because it's not really needed. I'm simply going to give Shun the double turn. I'm going to focus all of my little random attacks on this guy here on the right. That way we don't touch any of these guys, and then we can see the maximum damage, because it's actually quite hard to get 4 stacks a weekend on someone without killing them. Wait, one more click. There we go. Yeah, Leo's here to provide stacks as well once we're finally ready to. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind when you look at the damage here, the damage we're going to be doing in this area, all the skills are max level, and though there's no Cosmo on our Saints, the stats are actually really high. Like, look, this Pegasus has 8,000. This little beast Seiya has 8,000 attack, okay? So keep that in mind. The damage that you're going to see here is probably not the same damage that you would see in a real-life fight. All the skills are max level. We're going to have max stacks. And I think here we can start to see Yeah, let's do this. Let's do an AoE with Poseidon, and we're gonna see how all of these stacks go up. I'm gonna lower the speed. Now remember, whenever we do damage to enemies on the field, all of the stacks, all of the airstreams have a possibility of getting an additional stack. Let's see what happens. Alright, so AoE, everybody's gonna lose HP. Alright, you see, this guy had 1. Holy shit, this guy on the... Can you see my cursor? Wait, can you see my cursor? This guy on the left that I'm about to attack, he had 1 airstream on him. And he automatically, immediately went to 6. So you see, if you manage to get those skills to max level, the speed at which these things go up is ridiculous. I'm still not gonna buff here. I am gonna start giving the double turn to Seiya. And I'm gonna start weakening. Wait, wrong button. No, continue playing. I am gonna speed this up, and I'm gonna try to get 4 weakens on somebody with a lot of stacks. Maybe this guy... Is he gonna die, though? I have a feeling he's gonna die before I can get the 4 weakens on him. Oh shit, that's too much damage, bro. Alright, let's start fighting on some other guy in case this poor victim dies. Alright, nothing crazy here. Just gonna do a simple attack. We already have 4 stacks on that bro over there. Now, I'm gonna give the buff to SHUN in this round because it's time to release our Nebula. Or is it? Yes, I think it's time to release. I think we have enough energy. We do. So, we're gonna do 2 more weekends on this little guy here on the left. And when we're ready to go, I'm gonna lower the speed. And we're gonna see the initial damage, and then the subsequent damage, because the skill is max level. All the other 6 hits should do the exact same damage. So let's see exactly how much that is. 4 stacks a weekend, Nachi buff, Nebula Storm on this poor dude. That's 104. That's more than we did yesterday in the Spanish review. What the hell? That's 140 times 7. That is a lot of freaking damage, my friends. Now, this is a perfect storm of conditions. You have to keep that in mind. The likelihood of all of this happening in a real fight is not that high. Though, if you play with a slow team, with a control team, you drag it out, you accumulate your farts on a single guy, you are going to do this damage, and it's probably going to die immediately, regardless of who you're fighting. It's simply too much damage. Now, just to give you an example, next turn, I'm going to attack this guy over here, the guy with the green clothes. They all have green clothes, never mind. I'm going to give the buff still, but no weakens, and this guy has no stacks. Just to see the damage that we do on a regular attack before we can start getting our stacks off. Right? I'm not going to do nothing special here. I'm just going to do the Nebula Storm on this guy with no stacks and just the buff. So 47,000, right? We did 140 before because we had 4 stacks a weekend, which is not going to happen very often. Now let's look at the damage on 6 stacks without weekend. It should be the same damage, minus the Nachi buff, of course. Same damage, it just does it 7 times. So the stacks don't increase the damage you do on every hit, it increases the number of hits that you do in total. Everybody's got 6 stacks here, but I think we're pretty much done. I mean, there's not much more we can squeeze out of these poor guys. 140,000 times 7 is about the total damage that he can do. The only way to improve this, to increase this even more, would be to maybe steal Cosmo Attack with data loss on a lot of turns, right? Because Nachi's buff only lasts 1 turn. So if you manage to steal Cosmo Attack on a bunch of turns, you will be able to get that damage higher. Probably, shit, if you go, I don't know, if you go 10 rounds, you might be able to see 7 hits of 200k each. I wouldn't be surprised. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. I hope the review is useful for you, not to just understand how he works, but to decide if he's worth summoning for, and if you do get lucky and you get him, if he's worth building. Now, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's a couple things I want to go over that kind of pertaining to the channel as a whole and things that are going to be going on next week. The first one is, I get a lot of questions about, is it an English channel? Is it a Spanish channel? What the heck are you doing? The answer is I'm doing both. I have the chance to create content for both communities, the Spanish-speaking and the English-speaking, help both communities with the little bit of knowledge that I have from playing this game for a while, so I'll continue to do so as long as I can. One suggestion I see a lot is to open a second channel, but guys, I can barely make it to post 1 video a day on this one. If I open 2 channels, the only thing that would happen is that one channel would get a video every 2 days, and the other channel would get a video every 2 days, so it's kind of the same. We will continue to do the character reviews in both English and Spanish separately, and as always, anything that's recorded on stream will probably contain both languages, since I'm interacting with whoever's there. If I get a question in Spanish, I'll answer it in Spanish. If I get a question in English, then it'll be English. If somebody with some other language pops in and I happen to know a few words, then I'll try that too. The second one is just to let you guys know that I will be on vacation with my family next week, so there will be no streams on Twitch, and and I did manage to prepare a few videos. I'm gonna have 4 videos total to share with you what I'm out for. I couldn't make it to 5 to post Monday through Friday, which is what I usually like to do, but I ran out of time. I simply cannot finish it in time. Now, I have a feeling that we're gonna reach 50,000 subscribers on YouTube while I'm out. If that does happen, I'll just record a video on my phone and upload it or something. I'll find a way to communicate with you guys, and thank you all for the support once again. We will be doing a giveaway, something big, something special for the 50K. I'm not quite sure what. That'll have to wait until I come back from vacation, but we'll be doing something. If it happens while I'm out, then you'll just have to wait a little bit for the giveaway. And lastly, I just want to thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart for the support in English, in Spanish, and whatever the heck it is that I'm talking. I am enjoying the game like crazy, and not just playing the game, but also hanging out with you guys, the community that has formed around the game, the kind of resurgence that Saint Seiya is going through. And I hope that through the success of the game, we get more Saint Seiya. We get a new series, we get, I don't know, new toys, whatever the heck it is, as long as it's not made by Netflix. I'll leave you here for today, and I hope you have an amazing next week, and I'll see you again when I come back. All right? Bye.